Hi everyone, it's Purposefun Friday. Hope you're going well. What we're going to explore today is the 6 thinking hats. Now, have you heard of the 6 thinking hats? Have you experienced it in the past or even had a go at it recently? This particular resource has been around for a long time, and it works because of its simplicity, and yet it is still powerful. So today we're going to explore more about how to work with the 6 thinking hats. It was created by Edward De Bono, and he has a group of people, he had a group of people who were working together and delivering 6 thinking hats across the world with organizations from about 1991 onwards. And he came about with the idea that there are 6 different directions in which we think. And so he uses each hat as a symbol of each direction of thinking. And that's a type of mode of thinking. And the way that he works with that as a metaphor, or the way that you can explore that metaphor, is by actually putting on a hat or working with cards. Now, as I mentioned, the beauty of the 6 thinking hats is its simplicity and the fact that it's actually quite tangible and that you can see the colours, and we relate to colours, we can play with colours, and colours give you a bit more chance to explore with all your senses. Now, to get into it, let's look at each of the hats. And I'm going to work with the real hat. So we've got here the blue hat. So the idea is that you wear the blue hat as the first hat to organize your thinking. You get somebody to actually coordinate the process, and they wear the blue hat. So you come up with an idea or a problem or something that you want to explore and work out how you want to structure your thinking. What is the sequence that you want to use with the other hats? And use that as a way to begin the process. So this is the blue hat for organizing your thinking, right here. Now, also, you can use it at the end as a reflective tool. So that's a useful exercise. Now, the next hat is the green hat for creativity. Now, the beauty of the green hat is that it encourages you to come up with new ideas, come up with new possibilities, considering who else could be doing this? What is interesting about this? What changes could you come up with? Explore things from the perspective of creativity. Now, the next hat we're going to look at is the red hat. Now, it does have a number of colours, but we're just going to pretend it's all red. Now, the red hat is about feelings, about intuition, about hunches, so that you come up with all these ideas and you've looked at them from different angles. And then you get a sense to think, what do I feel about it? Well, in actual fact, you're not really thinking, you're feeling about those particular ideas. Get a sense of that deep intuition, those hunches that you might have about what it could be. Now, the next one, and we actually don't have the yellow hat. I haven't quite found that one yet, so I'm still looking for a decent yellow hat. So I've got the yellow hat card because we've created this resource for you. And the yellow hat is about brightness. It's about positivity. It's about forward thinking and looking at things as if it's really going to happen. Be constructive as opposed to destructive. Now, the next hat is the white hat. The white hat is around facts. It's about gathering information. It's about working out what's other information that you need, what gaps are missing in all the thinking that you've done to date. So that's the white hat. And the last hat is the black hat. Now, the black hat is about caution. The black hat is looking at logic and what are the possible risks that you might take with with what you're trying to achieve. So starting to get a little bit more sensible in the way that you're looking at the idea that you've explored so far. Some people might even use it as a devil's advocate. So those are the 6 thinking hats. Now, as I mentioned, we're also providing you with a resource, and you can print out all of the cards and give a pack of cards to each person that you're working with so that they have their 6 thinking hats for themselves. Now, the thing about the 6 thinking hats is that you're actually experiencing different styles of thinking, as you can guess from the different modes that I presented with each of the hats. And you're looking at something, an issue or a problem, for all these different perspectives. And so that is the real richness and the power of 6 thinking hats. And you can apply it in many different ways. You can apply it as a form of leadership in getting your teams to communicate more effectively. It can also work in a way of starting a new project and exploring the process for that project. I've actually used it with boards of directors and helped them to structure and create a process for decision making, and given them all their own 6 thinking hats so that whenever they have a meeting, they can work with their 6 thinking hats. I've also used it with staff and volunteers to come up with new ideas and for creativity, come up with projects to initiate organisational change. I've also worked with it with a group of unemployed people and coming up with an idea and exploring this idea more fully and comprehensively to create a social enterprise. So it can be used in multiple different ways. Now, the thing that's really great about the 6 thinking hats is that you can use it by yourself or in a group. So when you're working with it by yourself, you can still just pick up a card and read it and familiarise yourself with it, but it is still useful to start with the blue card, remembering that's about organising your thinking. Now, when you are working with it yourself, make sure that you write down the coloured hat and all the information, ideas that you came up with that corresponds to it, just so that it doesn't get confused. And try to keep that hat on for a period of time so you can immerse yourself in that thinking. Now, when it comes to groups, you can actually have small groups or large groups. You can break larger groups down into smaller groups. And the thing is that you can have everybody in the group wear the one hat. So again, they get their pack of cards, and then they can all be wearing the black hat at the same time and explore it collectively and grow the thinking. Or if your group or team is a bit more sophisticated and communicate reasonably well, you can actually have each person allocated a role in the way that they think, so that each person can contribute from that way of thinking. So that's another way that you can use it as a group. And it's really powerful in person because you've got the hats and you've got the cards, and it's so fun and explorative. Yet you can also do it online. And when you use it online, there are a number of platforms that you can work with, such as Miro, Whiteboard, and others. They have 6 thinking hats templates. So it is a really versatile tool, one that you can use on a regular basis. And as you familiarise yourself with it more over time, you'll be surprised at how well you can use it. And you don't have to use all of the hats all the time. You might say, oh, look, we just need to explore this idea with 2 or 3 hats, and that's enough. That's fine. Just use them to practice those different ways of thinking. Now, the thing to remember, of course, is that you want to make sure that you start with the blue hat and you want to immerse yourself in that thinking. The thing to remember is that it is a creative process. It is fun. So play with it, especially when you're using the hats. It's playful. It's a great way in which you and your team can gain some greater empathy and insight and come up with new analyses to things that you hadn't possibly thought about before, and apply them for creating new ideas, for informing your decision-making, for coming up with ways to assess the risks and what could go wrong with what you're trying to achieve. So my suggestion is give all the hats a go and play with the cards and enjoy the process. Okay, bye.